I'm gonna talk about today. Try to have some special meeting with those who are not here today,
Okay.
and make sure every one of them be that one more time, gotcha, and sit down and go over the lesson.
Okay.
Based, yeah, it's right here anyway. And then we'll give them the message. Please be careful as far as being absent. Try your best. Okay. Now, there is I'm gonna talk about certain things you may see or you think it's outside what's really the core of the thing, preparing a lesson. However, when you think it hard and you go over time and you serve many years, you realize what I'm saying. To prepare a good lesson, it takes really a lot of thinking, and it goes way back to not just a day of the service or even the week before, but actually it goes much further down or before. So normally I'm gonna just jump a little bit and say, okay, here we are in the month of August. And you say, okay, Justina, great in this course. We're gonna send you a survey, and you tell us what class would you like to serve the coming year. Normally September is our beginning with the Coptic year, a general Coptic year anyway. Now, this is a question you should take very seriously. And it is really related to successful writing a lesson or having a good lesson plan, or you actually do this lesson preparation. How is that? The way you approach that, I give you pointers. You think, okay, which class is it? I like to first grade, fifth, or 11, or whatever. There is in between. There are 12, maybe more. Some of these schools have more than that. So, which class I talk? I mark. This is what I want to teach. So, consider different ideas. One, that you want to gradually increase in your knowledge of the Lord, of the church. You wanted really to yourself. Oh, hi, Molly.
Hi.
Good to see you. Hi. We're talking about lesson preparation.
Sorry.
No problem. So, if you want to come here?
Oh, I'm fine.
More comfortable?
No, I'm fine.
All right.
Thank you.
So, you think there are so many golden rules we're going to talk about in Sunday school. One of them, the first person benefit from the class, from doing the lesson, is the servant. You prepare a good lesson and you spend time, effort, research, and everything. At the end, when you say the lesson, you're the first to benefit. Why? Because you have almost 100%. You read a lot, you prepared, you wrote something. Normally, you experience that if you have a presentation at school or college. Normally, the person who prepared this thing is the one who most benefited. So look at you preparing a lesson, not exactly like you're benefiting the children. Yes, you are, but also because you yourself will be benefited. So how is that related to what I'm just saying? Some servants take the approach that I am gonna teach first, second, third, a year after year, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. So in 12 years' time, I cover the whole curriculum. So now I learned a lot, and in the way, every year I have something new. I don't feel comfortable, and then over a certain period, after that, I can pick and choose. And remember, when I say that, I say it with a qualification, because normally Sunday school leadership will decide at the end which class you will have. But if you have reasons and you can present those reasons to the leader, then they will give you that class. But you look and say, okay, I'm new, I'll take first, next year say second, third, fourth. That's one approach. The other approach, when I look at there is a curriculum for Sunday school, and you've seen it, for instance, we follow the Southern United States curriculum, which has a listing of the 12 years and the lessons from those 12 years. So you say, I'm going to look at, see say topics in those years. And I found that in the 6th and 7th grade, they focus on Old Testament. I found that in 2nd grade, they talk about the parable of Christ. They talk in some years on the dogma of the church or history of the church. But I have very good knowledge about, say, the Old Testament. I am interested in that topic. I love it. I read it. I always feel connected. So then I say, please give me 5th grade, because I am very good in the Old Testament. I feel comfortable teaching it. So give me 5th grade or history or whatever. So you got the idea. Huh? If some topic I'm very good at, I ask to teach it because I will benefit the children the most, being very familiar with the topic. The third point is just the opposite of that. How is that? We just said that you learn the most. So, say, I always feel, wow, I get some questions about the dogma of the church and the two natures of Christ, one nature, and the economical councils. I don't know really very much, and every time I feel uncomfortable about that. I want to find out. I want to know the subject well. I guess I gave you the answer, right? What you do? You just look at the class where they address those topics. Oh, that's the one I'm going to teach. You don't know anything. Yes, I realize that. After I teach this class, I probably will be the expert on that topic. You would if you really apply yourself. You will see amazing change. Because every week, most of the weeks will be never have one topic during the year, but you will learn. So this is another angle, and you can change every year, whatever. I'm giving you the idea that to have a good lesson plan, sometimes whatever you decide early on will impact having having a good lesson prepared. One last criteria for here, but there are maybe some other, I'm sure there are, that you feel the call from God to serve certain age. This is, again, very important. Years ago, maybe 20 years ago or something, I read an article in the LA Times, regular newspaper. And they talk about there were a certain celebration for this lady who have been serving in Sunday school. That's not a Catholic church school, Sunday school regular, American, I should say, for 50 years. They have a big celebration for her. Well, the point is, okay, there are so many servants who served 50 years, I am sure, all over the state or the city of Los Angeles, But the point is, this lady kept teaching the same grade, which as far as I remember, 2nd grade, for that 50 years. Never changed it. So think of it. it is really something special. And when they would talk to her, she said, I felt God's call for me. God wants me to serve this particular age. I relate the most to that 1 year. She felt that God gave her, the Holy Spirit in her, tell her, this is what you're going to teach. She did for 50 years. Contrast that with things I see normally in my service, and some I saw it a lot, where servants get irritated. Oh, I want a bigger class. I want a higher class. In the minds of the servant, older class. In mind, the older you serve is the more prestigious, so to speak. Serving 10th grade or 11th rather than second grade the children. That's of course very wrong. Sunday school does not operate on the regular worldly thinking. We operate in a different way. So that is a very good example for you to realize that when you choose any class, think. And some criteria I mentioned, some you would come up with yourself, but you have to pray, you have to talk to Father of Confession, you have to consult maybe some mentors in Sunday school to make sure that they actually, they give you some guidance if you need. So at the end you will come up with a good reason to serve this particular class this particular year, because next year you could have different circumstances. And then when you say to the leader, I need second grade because this and this, so you get second grade assumed. Now, here we are. They say, Justina, you're going to be serving 5th grade next year. Now, what I should do? Oh, yeah, well, okay. That's September, I'm in August. Well, when September comes, I'll look at the thing. And then September comes and you just look quickly, oh, well, what I have here? Oh, I don't have time, school is already started, college and all that. Let me get the first lesson, or, I'll try to find out what I'm going to be teaching. And you get busy in life, and remember, here is one of the golden rules. We're talking about preparation. The longer you prepare, the better off you are. So a wise servant will just go and say, wow, okay, I just knew that I got 3rd grade, so let's see what 3rd grade has. I'm going to teach the miracles of Jesus, and some maybe from the Old Testament, and some other saints stories. Good. I got the idea the whole year, and then I start collecting resources. What I will be needing for the next year. Don't wait. Feel it is opportunity. This is an opportunity for you to really get things prepared. After I know the topic, I collect books, material, ask people. Some of the topics may be you need help finding those materials. The internet now is a wonderful resource. Still, you have to probably get some idea where you're going to get those. As much as possible, you know what you're going to be teaching in the next year. Not you wait for the last minute. Again, that is preparation. Here it is. I collected some good books, material, whatever. I start looking at them. I know now, I'm excited now. Okay, next year I'll be serving this and this and this. So I'm going to jump after you did all this preparation and say, okay, here you are. Next week, the moment of truth. You're going to be teaching about the miracle of the catching the fish. Jesus called his disciples. And some servants might say, "Oh, well, this is easy. I know the story. I read it many times. It's not a big deal. I'll just I'll say this story. I will read it right before the lesson. Sunday I read it maybe Friday or Thursday. Remember, we are now writing a lesson plan, and here is very important question which come up with you will face, or I would call it temptation. What's the temptation? You will see that many servants around you, what they do is they go online. Nowadays, the internet is a bless, and there is the other, I don't want to say the other word of blessing, because you can easily download the lesson from the curriculum which is already written for you, prepared for you online. You wouldn't believe how many times I saw this. To me, it was sad. It was sad to see the servant rush to the computer in Sunday schools. And they want to download the lesson, which they supposed to be prepared themselves and work on it a long time. They did not. So be careful of that trap, because you will never do a good lesson if you do that. Now, here is my time to tell you it's something you think of all the time. Few occasions, many occasions in the past, whenever I've been married for 40 plus years now, and somebody call me and say, talk to him or her and say, okay, why don't you come over for dinner? Tonight. We're here. And I hear Cecile screaming. She's in another room. What do you say? See? In my mind, as a person who has very little knowledge of cooking, I can do some stuff. I can do eggs and stuff like that, boiled egg, or even omelets, or vegan meals. But past that, I don't know. So here is my ignorance, translates into a problem. Making a meal, and I learned over the years, I still didn't learn very well, but I learned that it takes time. Preparing a meal is a big thing. There is ingredients, some of them available, some of them not available, some of them in the market, you have to go and shopping, and some of them things get marinated or what have you, it needs maybe a lot of technology goes here. So if you gonna think of the lesson you prepare as a healthy, well-made, delicious meal, then you have to put the time and the effort. You wouldn't go and serve your guests, Taco Bell, or hamburger, right? You don't go across the street and buy from McDonald's. You don't do that. Your children, very precious. They deserve the best. So think always when I prepare a lesson for them, it's a spiritual lesson. Exactly. It's the feed of the soul. So when you do that, remember you're putting the effort and time to prepare a good meal for them. And we will go over all the elements of preparing a meal. But I'm just saying in general now. Remember, you need time. You don't wait, because things will happen in life. You get distracted. You get things, whatever. There are so many, our lives now is so busy, so many things running, takes away your time. So you need to have ample time, give yourself a chance to prepare a good lesson. So the question would be, when is the best time to start preparing my lesson? What do you think, Molly? Give me a date or time. Or I'm talking about preparing a lesson for next week. Actually, sitting and start thinking on writing maybe the lesson. So
At least a week.
at least a week. That's a good answer. Makes sense? So here is one of the golden rules of Sunday school. You prepare the lesson the Sunday before. Today is the Sunday. I have next week a lesson to do. Then I start the Sunday before, a whole week. Right? Because then I will have the opportunity. There is some still will say, wow, 1 week. It doesn't, I know the story, I know everything about it. So, well, let's go over some of the elements which you would need for this lesson. First of all, and anybody think of me, you need what to prepare a lesson? Think of any miracle of anything, any lesson from the Bible, any story, any history, saints, San Justina, or maybe Saint Verena. So, where are you going to find this?
The Bible.
Available, right? But not very, the Bible is easier, right? If the story from the Bible, maybe some of them, yes, it's available. I am saying you guys are blessed now. You should be in the 50s and 60s preparing a lesson like myself. You would be, running around, trying to find a book or a piece of thing where you have this stuff. Well, thank God. So now you need the books. You need the resources, right? Whatever it is, book, material, articles, and sometimes you may need to, not readily available online. Well, could be nowadays. Now, another thing, I need to study the story really well. If I am talking about Jesus calling his disciples, I want to get into that frame of mind, of that idea, I am over there with Jesus. He started his mission. He needs disciples. Why? Because of course you need witness. So I start talking about, here it is, for the children, you can sometimes, some children, you can say, oh, you know what, Jesus wanted to have disciples, and then he went to the shore of the lake and found, they say, okay, cast your net. It was in the morning, and they say, no, Lord, we didn't catch anything. This is, not really explaining the story, the depth of it, the surroundings of it. But when you say Jesus went in the morning to get disciples, you have to explain what disciples means and why disciples are needed, and how Jesus would be looking for the best people. Those will be the disciples of Christ. So when you live the story yourself, you will find a lot of dimensions to it. The Bible is written in a very concise way because, of course, it was very hard to write back then, and for many reasons. Everything was copied by hand. So for us here, we need to imagine things and relive the story, where you go section by section. Jesus in the morning, go and he felt that those people, the fishermen, are very humble, very good people. simple people, they are patient, they have a lot of virtues, so he went there. And, you know, he haven't, he knows those people they had, right? It wasn't an accident that he met them. But he went there and saw them and start talking to them, go, you know, and, you know, try to test them and introduce himself. So I am saying, read the story word by word and think of every little details. Imagine what happens there. I used to do a lot of things really helped me a lot. You know, whenever I teach a story or, you know, whenever I go to sleep at night, I take, you know, part of the story, and before I sleep, I just go through the, you know, mentally go through that imaginary thing. I am there living, and, you know, here is in the lake, and those guys are very hard working. Imagine after all the night long, you know, this is hard, cold and wet, and they come and the Lord say, oh, go and cast your net. How are you going to answer? So when you go little by little, you see depths of the story. You learn a lot from the story. So that's why you need time. You need time to read that. And that could also apply to any of those dogma lessons. You need to absorb it very well. We're talking about the sacrament of baptism. Why baptism in the church? What was the origin of it in the Old Testament? How is that replaced in the New Testament? And, you know, why we do this immersion. There, when you teach that subject, you'll see a lot of things you need to really absorb. And maybe you will face yourself questions you never thought of. You don't want to get caught in the classroom and the child, you know, ask you, Uncle, why is this? What is that baptism means? Why you have it immersion? Or, you know, any kind you want to be prepared. So you need time, and obviously even that 1 week still could not be enough, but at least you make something reasonable. You know, this is where I'm gonna start teaching, you know, preparing my lesson. Excuse me. In your book, well, you don't have the book, I know that, but it's not needed now. But you will see, and maybe we'll go over this, the points of those are more or less the same, which is used in the curriculum for Southern United States, which is used mostly in this continent here. So the format, this is the formatting of the lesson. So you need to do what? The date, the lesson, objective of the lesson, Bible references, other references, we talked about that now, visual aids. You need to prepare something. Always, we will have a class about visual aids, maybe 2 classes, because it is very important for the children especially. They like to have, and they need actually to have some visual aids. What kind of visual aids? When you look at your book here, there are so many varieties. It takes time to prepare it, first to select it, to prepare it. If you want to have even a nice picture, where you get the picture? You may be online, find the material and all this, but you may have to order online that picture. You like it very much, the big picture is nice, it's gonna help me. But if you wait till Thursday, no way, huh?
Tough luck.
I don't know if you have Amazon Prime, which I don't like. I see they just rip off people, but hey, that's another story. But hey, you could get it, right? But very hard. Now, give yourself time. Then you will be able to prepare as the actual good visual aid for you. Now, we will not, like you go on the other, I'm gonna go explaining this, but I'm gonna stop here a little for the objectives. Objective, singular. Singular, like, look here. If you look at this format, which, please, I want you guys to go into your computer tonight and make how do you call that, template, right? That would be your master for whatever exercise we're gonna do. You just copy this, whatever way you want it, all right? Because this is your format for writing the lesson. So you will see here date, lesson, name, of course, whatever the lesson, comes from the curriculum, you know that, and I want to teach you more this. And then right away you see objective. What is that? What's objective?
The goal of the lesson.
What is it?
The goal of the lesson.
The goal of the
What are
lesson.
kids supposed to do?
So how many we should pick for the
Just one.
for the lesson, teaching whatever story? How many we should pick?
Just one.
Just
Then
one.
you can,
What?
if you have one, then you can focus on one more and you can prepare it better than if you're trying to like accomplish a billion things.
That is an excellent answer. And I want you all to remember this right away. How many objectives? One. Why? We can learn I'm gonna teach the children more. I'm gonna make them saints. So I'm gonna teach them praying and fasting and be giving and be nice and be patient. Wouldn't that be better?
But then they have a lot of information coming at them and then they're not sure what to do.
Yeah, and how you gonna how actually you want to impact the child. Well, they're having fun over there. All right. So you need to focus, I guess. So if you think of it, you would hardly be able to teach a child one virtue. One thing you have to remember, we are teaching in Sunday school virtues, or call it objectives, but that's over the time of Sunday school. We're not teaching stories or information, knowledge. Yeah, we are in the information age and things are gone bad, believe me, with this availability of too much information. People don't absorb it. There is no chance to really come up something, I found something, all the information is there. But hardly you see people who really understand what they look at, because there is no time for them. They're not trained to do it. So you need to think that when we taught in Sunday school to the children, we want to teach them one objective. One objective. Over the years, they have many objectives. And that's a core of what I do. So I'm going to jump here and say, when you prepare this lesson, it will be based on the objective you selected. Right? Because that's what your focus on this story. And in any story in the Bible, you can come up with 10, 15, 20, any story you can come up with 20 versions. good meaning lesson. It's objective for that lesson. So you focus, you select one objective and write the lesson around it. So when I was talking to you that you're thinking of the story and living it in your mind and see what's going on exactly there. Your goal here is to really think what is the objective I should pick for that lesson I'm teaching. So let's think, okay, what is the criteria, which one I pick. Like I said, I'm going to ask you, that would be your homework for the next 2-3 weeks, that I'll give you a story, and then you start thinking of it and come up with different objectives. But out of those so many objectives you can come up with, which one I will be picking? Sometimes the simplest way is the one they pick for you in the program. When you open the internet, there is a lesson written there, and they tell you the objectives. This is what I am showing you here in that format here, but I'm going to go into more details what is the form means. Here, some things very hard for you to, I need explanation. But the objective is there in the lesson itself. That's the easiest one. But you, as a good servant, may think, boy, this lesson is very good in certain things. I think I need to focus on that and that objective. I'll give out something for you guys. Say we're talking about feeding the multitude, which will be your exercise, by the way. So here I am giving you something, to start with. There are, of course, feeding the multitude is, a very famous miracle in the Bible. It's mentioned in the 4 Gospels, very important one, because it's also related to the communion. So, obviously you can say, okay, God bless the food. There are many common things everybody knows. But in that story, Jesus at the end say what? Collect the remnants, right? Jesus ordered the disciple to collect the remnants. I would say, wow, what is the purpose of that? It could be actually more than one purpose. One of it is what? Why Jesus said that? Collect the remnants, whatever left over from the people. There was 5,000 of them, 20,000 actually, considering children. So, what was the reason?
To demonstrate the miracle? Demonstrate the miracle?
Demonstrate the miracle, maybe when they collect, they realize exactly, yes, that's a good point. Yes. Okay. Another thing from collecting, you see, even that side, you start with that and you come up with so many objectives, right? So, think of cleaning, caring about the environment. Jesus was an environmentalist. He created the earth and he entrusted people to guard it and work in it and keep it and preserve it. But don't too fanatic and get in that environmentalist movement. It's good to be environmentalist, yes, with reason. Always there is reason. So what is, here it is, Jesus cared about the environment, cleanness. He wants them to leave. The thing we see here in America in the 21st century, please keep, whatever in the trash can, begging people. Jesus did it 2,000 years ago where nobody thought of those things. He was far, far, far ahead from everybody. Why? We got in this beautiful area. It was green, by the way. When you read the story carefully, you will see that what I'm telling you. It was green area, beautiful, and so he wants to keep it clean. So maybe I take the opportunity and teach my children cleaning their rooms. It's a chance for me because I know those kids have a huge problem and how messy they are. I hope you guys gone past that. Your parents are not. Well, I don't know.
So that solves the problem.
Yeah. So maybe it's time. Well, like we said, you're the first one who benefit from the story, huh? I don't know anything. I never been to. I've been to Justina's house. It was great. Because mom was working very hard. But hey, that is the thing. That's why I'm talking about. When you look at this for the children, you say, I know the children have a problem in that age, and this has to do with cleaning, so I'm focusing on cleaning. Keeping waste, not to waste, another angle. They are connected, right? So how much waste we have in America? Do you know the number of food waste compared to the whole? You know how much wasted food we have in the United States? Anybody can guess how percentage we throw away, wasted?
It's
60.
something.
I don't know, 60?
60?
I'm just guessing.
Well, you're not far off. It's 40%.
Okay.
You said 40 is this good?
I was gonna say 38.
Yeah, wow.
Ow!
You studied that school, right? It could be, yes. The number I know approximate, 40%. 40% thrown in the trash. So again, another angle. So you talk about the specific needs when you feel, you saw some kids maybe fighting with each other, not sharing, cursing, whatever you saw and observed in the class, you try to, instead of the thing is written for you in the program, you say, you're allowed to do that, by the way. No problem, as long as you say the story itself, then you change the objective, because this story gave me a unique perspective. So here it is. Maybe beside the specific spiritual needs of the children, you'll notice the time of the year. So if the children have finals, like now, I guess some of you have finals. Oh, okay. Well, here we go. The kids are maybe anxious, worried, not sure, and the story maybe give us the element of God takes care of his children. So it is apostles. Those are his children, and they are in need, and they cannot figure out how to get help, even though they are professional fishermen, but God steps in. So I take this angle, focus my story on it, or my lesson on it, like we're going to tell you how to do that. Sometimes it's the liturgy of what we call the liturgical year in the church. We have a liturgical year. Right now we are in Advent, right? And then comes the baptism of Christ, and then we get the Lent, and those things right away. So again, if you can find an angle and relates to what the church is practicing, you do that, because you connect the children to what the church is celebrating at the time. Sometimes the stage of the children. Uncle Mina last week gave us a lesson about infant, right? You talk about it. So, that your children in this age, they tend to lie, or selfish, or aggressive if they are teenagers, whatever, right? So you want to address That's why we study here those kind of all kind of details about age development. So you, when you deal with the children and you study their needs and development, you can pick some objective, and you say, okay, this is be my lesson to teach them so and so based on that age development. Then you serve them the best because this is their needs or character on that age. Right, Molly? You're the expert. What can I say? So that's one another criteria. I'm saying here you are. You're looking at the story. You need time, right? Molly told us you need a week. It is true. You before you settle on this or this, maybe this, as you go along, you find many other benefits or objectives, but you want one. Another thing, special circumstances in the society. Say sometimes we have earthquakes in California. And I survived myself few of those big ones. And the children the next week are irritated, worried, you feel they're nervous. Maybe there's a big fire in the state and brush fire, and kids are maybe there was a massacre. A lot of people get killed, unfortunately today in Egypt. I don't know if you heard that. You heard? There's a bomb got off in church next to the cathedral, and 25 people got killed, 49 people injured so far. So I'm sure if you are in Egypt today and you go to Sunday school, the kids will be on trauma, right? They're thinking of that. They are in the church, and imagine 25 people got killed. They were in a liturgy, in a mass. That church is, called Kinsa Botrosaya, next to the cathedral. So if you know that the children have some special circumstance, address it. Try to find an angle. Even sometimes I say, sometimes you can change the program. It's not written in stone, but you have to take some permission from your leader in Sunday school. Just don't overdo it or do it frequently. No, you have to stick to the program. But sometimes there is big thing here, like I'm telling you, in Egypt now, it's huge, if you think of it. So you need to calm the children, to tell them God is there. God will take care of us. Remind them with God's miracle of taking care of his children, and so forth. A lot of things like that. Sometimes that circumstance could be not on a national level, but on a personal level. A child lost his grandfather, or grandmother, or family member. We have to maybe get an angle where, I know this child there have some problem, and maybe other family member, or, he got really bad sickness or surgery, certain personal. You want to address that in the lesson. And when you get to the point that God can heal, God can, have the power. Look what he did. He healed so many people. You use it. Now, I guess you can tell that preparing a lesson, we haven't finished yet. We can have another lesson for that. Not another one, maybe 2, 3 more. But now we're just getting really in to get the understanding what we are trying to do here. So we're gonna stop here, and later we're gonna go into explanation of the rest of the lesson. Eventually, I'll need the format. Eventually, I'm going to ask you to prepare a lesson, a whole lesson, and that is a requirement. It's not that hard, really. It's not. You should be able to do it, And now, when you read that, you read the lesson. But when I explain to you what is this introductory question, lesson outline, how you write it, leading question, you will know what I mean. But for now, your assignment is part of that. Okay? What is it? Molly, can you read this for me, please?
Prepare a lesson using the lesson preparation form about feeding the multitudes miracle. The miracle is mentioned in Matthew 14, Mark 6, Luke 9, and John 6. You want me to read the whole thing?
The next line.
Identify and list at least 10 objectives from the story and use one of the 10 for your lesson.
Can you read that again, please? The second line.
Identify and list at least 10 objectives from the story and use one of the 10 for your lesson.
Right. Thank you. Now, what we're saying here, to start, ultimately write the lesson as your assignment. You need first to go through that exercise. We will have a class where, now read this miracle. We picked it because it's mentioned in the 4 Bibles. And another golden rule. There are many of those beautiful golden rules, but they're good. When the story mentioned in 1, 2, 3, 4 Gospels, I think the only miracle mentioned in the 4 Gospels, besides the resurrection, of course, that's considered a special thing, is mentioned in the 4 Gospels is the feeding the multitude, when Jesus fed 5,000 people. But when you read it in all 4 Gospels, there are differences in details. Those differences are important because sometimes they give you an idea of an objective and better understanding of the story. So I want you guys go and read the 4 Gospels, not 3. Not just, never do that. Never say, I already. No. There is a reason those Gospels. Those are 4 witnesses or 3 witnesses or 2. They have different angle like anything in our human lives. And those are beneficial things. So, read carefully and start listing. Okay, we can learn this. I can make this an objective. Can make this an objective. And our beautiful exercise will be to get together and I'm gonna ask you around and say, okay, what do you think this chorus was some of the objective, we picked? And you go around the table. It's a very nice spiritual exercise really to, in the same time, sort of develop your, how to look at the stories and come up with some. And maybe at the end, not necessarily take this story when I say, okay, now prepare a lesson. Maybe I'll just switch, but for now, your exercise is to look at feeding the multitude, come up with as many objectives as you can. Not one objective. Remember, this is different now. Out of those objectives you select, maybe you will pick one of them when you prepare your assignment. But for now, consider it, it is a beautiful thing. Read about the story, go over it, and you will come up with good things. Write it down.
And this is by next week or by when?
No,